Hey guys, it's Stampede OP here, and I'm coming back with another video. And this is my prediction for UFC 240 for the main event of UFC 240, Max Holloway versus Frankie Edgar, for the UFC Featherweight Championship. This fight is happening in Alberta, Canada. Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. So, I'm very excited for this fight. I'm really, really excited for this fight. I cannot wait for this fight. This fight was canceled two times. It was canceled twice before, and now, finally this fight is happening, so I'm really excited for this fight. So basically, the way I do my predictions is, I like to first talk about both the fighters' strengths, and then I like to talk about both the fighters' weaknesses, and then I will give my prediction on who I think is going to win the fight and how. So let's start with Max Holloway. Let's talk about Max Holloway's strengths. Now, the thing about Max Holloway's strengths, Max Holloway has a lot of strengths. He's a very well-rounded fighter. His striking is so amazing. His slipping ability, his footwork, his boxing, his kicking, his takedown defense. He does have some submission ability himself. He does have some submission skills himself. And also, Max Holloway. So let's talk a little bit about Max Holloway's boxing. Max Holloway, his accuracy is very, very good, and his momentum is also very good. He the thing about Max Holloway is his boxing. When he slips, like we've seen his slipping ability, it's really hard for opponents to hit him. He's not an easy guy to hit. Like we've seen in the Jeremy Stevens fight. We've seen in the what do you call it? The Anthony Pettis fight. We've seen in the uh, Jose Aldo fight twice, and we've also seen in the Brian Ortega fight. These guys. I mean, Jose Aldo was able to hit him a little bit, but Jose Aldo was really fast. But still, And also, the thing about Max Holloway is when you hit him, he has a very good chin. He has a very, very good chin. This guy, he doesn't have, like he can take big shots. He like in the Dustin Poirier fight, he was taking shots from Dustin Poirier. I mean, that was like, and Dustin Poirier is a lot bigger than Max Holloway. He hits a lot harder than him too. And Max Holloway, he also has very good takedown defense, and he does have some submission skills himself. He has submitted a bunch of people. And also, Max Holloway, his boxing is very good. Now the thing about Max Holloway is, also one more thing, he does throw very good kicks. He doesn't throw a lot of leg kicks, but his body kicks and head kicks very dangerous. He can catch you with them. He does throw a lot of kicks. And also, another thing about Max Holloway is he's not the biggest puncher. He doesn't hit very hard, but the thing about Max Holloway is that he will end the fight in a flurry of strikes. Like he starts off slow in the first round, and then he builds up. His momentum builds up from the second, third, fourth, and it's kind of like a snowball effect. The snowball gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and then he just can't stop it. That's how like he gets like his momentum builds up. So those are Max Holloway's strengths. I'm gonna talk about Frankie Edgar's strengths now. The thing about Frankie Edgar is also a very well-rounded fighter. He has really good wrestling, NCAA wrestling. He has very, very good wrestling. He does have really good ground and pound. His ground and pound is actually pretty good. Like we've seen in the Yair Rodriguez fight. His ground and pound is really good. He does have very good boxing as well. He does have knockout power. He has knockout power. We've seen we've seen the Chad Mendes fight, knocked out Chad in the first round with one punch. He has very good knockout power. And also, he doesn't throw too many kicks. He'll throw leg kicks. But he doesn't really throw body kicks or high kicks. But he does throw leg kicks. And also, Frankie Edgar also has a really good chin. I know he got knocked out by Brian Ortega, but Brian Ortega hits really hard. Max Holloway, he doesn't hit very hard. That's the thing. So he might be able to take. I think he's gonna be able to take a lot of Max Holloway's punches. In this fight. And another thing about Frankie Edgar is his boxing works with his wrestling. So like he'll take you down, throw some ground and pound, control you on the ground. Then when you get back up, he'll like throw some more. He'll throw more. He'll use his boxing and then wrestling, boxing, wrestling. Like fighters would be thinking, oh, he's gonna take me down. He'll start hitting you with his boxing, and then they're gonna think that he's gonna box with me. Then he'll take you down. His boxing works really, really well with his wrestling, really well. And also, Frank Edgar is the only guy to take Jose Aldo down twice in a fight. Nobody's ever been able to take down Jose Aldo more than twice in a fight. And also, so now let's talk about both the fighters' weaknesses. Now, Max Holloway doesn't really have that many weaknesses. To be honest, he doesn't really have that many weaknesses. But in this fight, a little bit of a weakness would be the grappling because Frankie Edgar is a lot better grappler than Max Holloway. His wrestling is way better than Max Holloway's. So Frankie Edgar's grappling. So Max Holloway's grappling is going to be a little bit of a weakness in this fight. He can't let Frankie Edgar take him down. That's the thing. And also the thing about Max Holloway is, this is almost every fight. If you can disrupt his rhythm, then you have a very good chance of beating him. Like how Dustin Poirier did, like how, because he kept catching him with shots, like how Conor McGregor did. He kept catching him with that 1-2. He kept catching Max Holloway, disrupting his rhythm. So Frankie Edgar doesn't have to do that. And in the first round, he has the best chance of doing that. Because Max Holloway does start off slow. You know, he starts off pretty slow in the first round. So that's Max Holloway's weaknesses. So Frankie Edgar's weaknesses. Frankie Edgar's weaknesses. I mean, he's also a very well-rounded fighter, but the weakness in this fight for Frankie Edgar is going to be the striking. It's going to be the striking. It is going to be the striking because Max Holloway is a way better striker than Frankie Edgar. He's a way better striker. His boxing is a lot better. His kicking ability, and and his slipping ability, and not only that. I know Max Holloway is not the biggest puncher, but he is. If his momentum builds up, that's going to be very bad for Frankie Edgar. So Frankie Edgar, he's going to have to take Max Holloway to the ground. He's going to have to use his boxing with his wrestling. He's going to have to take Max Holloway to the ground. In the first round, he's going to have the best chance of taking Max Holloway to the ground. And he's going to have to disrupt Max Holloway's momentum. And also, he's going to have to watch out for the striking. Because Max Holloway is a way better striker than Frankie Edgar. And he's a lot longer than him. He's a lot taller than him. He has a longer reach than him. So that's the thing. That's the weakness of Frankie Edgar in this fight. So, now, on who I think is going to win the fight. I'm going to go with Max Holloway, and I'm going to go by a 4th or 5th round TKO. Or I could see a decision. I could also see a decision because Max Holloway doesn't hit very hard, and Frankie Edgar does have a very good chin. But I think Max Holloway is going to knock him out eventually in the 4th or 5th round. I think his momentum is going to build up so much that I think he's going to catch Frankie Edgar with a lot of shots and just finish him. And the thing is that Frankie Edgar's kind of getting out of his prime. Don't get me wrong, he's still a very good fighter, but he's kind of getting out of his prime. He's 37 years old, and he's kind of getting out of his prime. He's not really young anymore, and he's taken a lot of damage in his career. So I still think he's going to have a very good chin in this fight, but, I still think he has a very good chin, but, I mean, it's pretty surprising. He's taken so many shots, and he still has a very good chin. That's very surprising about Frankie Edgar, That's a very good thing on his part. But I think Max Holloway is going to finish him. I think the striking is going to be way too much. I think Max Holloway, I think his takedown defense is going to be good enough. I think he might get taken down once or twice, but I think he'll make his way back up onto his feet. I think but I think his striking is going to be way too dangerous. I don't think Frankie Edgar is going to really be able to compete with Max Holloway in the striking. Max Holloway is he might lose one round, but I think he's probably going to, it's very likely for him to win every single round. So I think Max Holloway is probably going to win every single round. And he might lose one round, but I think he's going to win every single round, probably. And I think he's going to, what do you call it? I think he's going to dominate this fight. He is going to dominate this fight. So guys, that's my prediction for UFC 240, the main event, Max Holloway versus Frankie Edgar. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will be getting out a reaction video to this main event fight on Sunday. So after the fights today, I'm going to get it out on Sunday. And so yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys in the next video. Enjoy.